Got a copy? Any questions, discussion about the minutes? Pretty comprehensive, not a lot going on, which is reflected in the minutes. If not, we need a motion to approve minutes.
Motion to
We have a
approve.
motion, second? Second, all right. And Robert, you're here, right? He's here, okay. All right, all those in favor?
I'm here.
Right. Next item, public comment. We had a member of the public here, but he realized that he didn't need to be here, so he left. So we have no public. Next item then is Harbor Master's report.
So we had the money that we allocated for to drive the new pile and the new dock. Went from the town council last week. That got approved, as well as some money to replace some of the floats, the stuff that we brought to you guys last meeting. So that's
This is the dinghy dock?
this is the skiff dock, yeah, additional skiff tie-up dock. Along with some of the floats. So that stuff got approved. We had some issues with the crane we're working through. We've had some electrical problems, so we're working with New England Crane to repair that. All the floats were coming out this week. The parking booths will get moved this week. All the water's getting shut off tomorrow, and then we will blow the system out on Friday. As we do, we've already moved the porta potty down to the co-op so that there's a bathroom there, and we don't have any issues with that. Now we're gonna shut the water off. Other than that, we're just prepping for winter, and we're gonna hold off. We were gonna do some maintenance to the actual parking lot in the spring, but I think we're gonna hold that off until we go through this water replacement project, because they're gonna dig all the streets up around the co-op and the Pine Point area. So we're just gonna hold off on any. There's no point in spending any money to start crack sealing and lining the parking lot until they finish that project. So we're gonna put that on hold until next year. It's not cost effective to do it twice, so.
So the water thing's gonna be next spring then, huh? Wow.
They're gonna break ground in April. They're gonna replace it, I think it's like 1,500 linear feet
Mhm.
around the co-op, around the Pine, well, I shouldn't say around the co-op, around Pillsbury Shores, around the King Street area, Jones Creek, and then they're going to repave everything in the fall. And so I think what we'll do is next fall, we'll put the co-op parking lot on that schedule.
Okay,
There's just no reason to do it.
Yeah.
Do it twice.
it should be quite a mess.
Well, it's gonna make a mess. May and June are gonna be quite entertaining down.
Quite the mess. Well, good. All right. Anyone, any questions, discussion? All right. Council liaisons report. We have our distinguished council member here. What's been going on in the council lately?
Nothing much, been quiet, yeah. It's really nothing to report, it's very quiet. It's off season, I guess, so we're waiting for the new councilors to come in November, I guess.
Yeah, how many are up? How many new ones will there be?
Oh,
I've been keeping track.
geez, I'm trying to think, it's two, I
Two?
think it's just two, yeah, cause,
Right.
um,
And they
I think-
found two
I think
people actually
Larry
run.
finishes out Don's term, so he'll be there for a while, I think just till this November, I think, yeah, he's gonna be there a while, so, yeah, it's two. So, yeah.
Vinny, did you put your name in? I can see you on the town council.
No, thank you. No.
I'm sure you don't want to think about it. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, election coming up in a couple of weeks, the big school thing. Be interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah, it's going to be, a lot of people put a lot of work and effort into
did.
it to do it, but,
It's a tough topic.
there's signs out that are still too much, so.
Yeah. Robert, raising your hand, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a very polite young man. That's a joke because I'm not young. I had a question for the harbor master. Any new, feedback or funding or issues from EOE, not EOE, what's it called? Army Corps regarding maintenance dredging?
Yep, I was gonna bring it up under old business, under dredging, but I can bring it up now if the chair wants me to.
Yeah, that's fine. We're moving.
So-
anyway.
I had a meeting with SOS Saco Bay last week, along with Tom Hall and Jamie Fitch, the sustainability manager. They are gonna start the project in Saco Bay in April of 2026. They're gonna build the new finger pier and the new finger jetty. And then the intention is to do a beach replenishment in the spring of 2027. And they will hopefully be taking the sand out of the Scarborough River is some of that. They're estimating that they need somewhere between 300 and 400,000 cubic yards. Which I told them that when we met with them, Tom asked if they brought a bucket or a pickup truck, because we did what they wanted. But the last dredge that occurred here was the upwards of about 150,000 cubic yards. I'm anticipating that hopefully we will be able to send some of our sand their way. But the problem right now is I left that meeting on Thursday morning at 11, and I called Jen Thauhauser, who is the project manager for the Saco project. But of course, she's not calling me back. So I emailed her, and I'm sure because she's a federal worker, she's on shutdown. So the answer to your question, Rob, is yes, it is on my radar screen. I am trying to get hold of the Army Corps so that we can put the burden of permitting on them to include it in the Saco project so that we don't have to go after our own town permits, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does. It's great. I sorry, I didn't know it was already in the agenda. I would have waited.
That's all right.
I typically have my meetings, alerted to let me know that they're coming up. I actually have three meetings this week. But I was picking my son up at he does Ninja Warrior at the main Warrior gym, parkour stuff. So I had to give him a ride home. So sorry, I was late logging in. And I prefer to be present anyway. It's much less clunky, but this is an effective tool when needed. But yeah, thanks for that. Otherwise I would have saw it on the agenda.
As soon as what I was going to do, Rob, is once I get some definitive answers through the Army Corps, and obviously with the government shutdown, I can't get any answers. But as soon as I have some definitive answers and definitive timelines, I'm hoping that the Army Corps will permit it under the existing Saco Bay permit project. I've already talked to DEP and Submerged Lands, and it's not a real heavy lift to add it. I just have to ensure that the Army Corps is going to be on board, and which I think they are, because when we met with the Saco Bay folks, they were very interested that they know that they need a substantial amount of sand for beach replenishment. So as I get an update over the next few months, hopefully I will know more. I'm sure when the government opens back up, I'm not gonna hear anything for a few days, but as soon as I have an update, it's on the top of my list, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Darren, it's the same two spots by the same two green buoys. It's low tide. Most boats aren't leaving, and anything on a subordinate, anything near the new moon or the full moon, you're not gonna be able to leave at dead low, or you can't get out, you can't get in at dead low on any kind of moon tide. In the first green buoy leaving, and then second to last green buoy leaving. Well,
The Army Corps did do a survey a few weeks ago, but I do not have those results yet. I've already emailed them to get those, but again, I'm sure the government shutdown has something to do with that. So I'm at the mercy of the man, if you know what I mean.
I hear you. Yeah, my buddy works for Army Corps. He's considered primary or whatever that is, worker, and so he's working. But yeah, as far as like small he's on a big 500-foot dredge in Philadelphia. But yeah, small projects like this. But that makes a lot of sense that if you can just sort of tag team our project, which is technically Saco Bay, onto that other Saco Bay project, then that would be best case scenario. It's just something that I have to deal with on a daily basis when I'm fishing every day. And the weather's been crap this week, so we haven't been out much, but it's definitely squeaky wheel kind of thing. I know you know that I know, and whatever. So very good. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Did you say that beach replenishment was starting spring of 27, or did you say April of 27?
It would be April or spring of 2027, based on a lot of that hinges on when they finish this other project, but they're projecting April 2027 is what the timeline is.
I have some input here. He's talking about that green can, and that is the problem, right, just above my boat. And that spot, the dredge people even say they dredge it and it just comes alive. It's almost like there's a spring or something there. And when they dredge, it almost immediately fills back in there. It doesn't stay opened up for very long. It becomes an issue quick. And I was thinking that they should go over to the east and further. I know the Army Corps has their place they have to dredge, but mention it at a meeting. And what if they, and I know a river always stays deeper if it's curved. The Army Corps always wants to go straight. Well, the river is naturally curved and it's kind of forced them. They used to, at the mouth of the river, go right straight, but there's so much sand filled in that they have let it go towards the yacht club. And since they've done that out there, we don't have the problems as bad as we used to. So I think if they, from Pine Point, if they come down and they went further to the eastern and then back around and made a curve in the river there, and you may get away from that live area, whatever it is, if it's springs or whatever it is, try dredging over that way further. And, you know, if they could try it, it may save them from coming back and dredging so soon. But it's something to bring up at a meeting. I gotta go to one of the meetings and talk to the Corps.
And nobody said anything about live sand changing or anything different in the river from normal?
No. I was trying to find the map. I'm trying to find the actual map of the Federal Navigation Project. I have it. It's a pretty substantial map. But
They did a big study in PEI and they feel the live sand moves more now because we don't freeze over. Because we've had winters where we're not freezing over. PEI has the same problem. They're constantly dredging to get their boats, you know, for
Right.
dumping days and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
you can see how you can see how narrow this is. The picture on the, it'll be your, that's the FNP. The Federal Navigation Project, and where. This is where it gets.
Where
really
it's the
tight
problem,
here.
right,
It gets
yeah.
really tight.
And like I said, they're right straight there, and if they just move it, I know it's probably an act of Congress to move where they've dredged.
problem.
But I'm just saying, if they tried it once, going to the eastern further with their dredge, it may stay for a long time. I mean, I think it's definitely worth a try. But for them and the logistics, I don't know if they'll approve it, but they might just say, yeah, sure, we can do that. You know, who knows?
Is that an image or a file or something you can email people or is it?
I have a
website?
bunch of image, I have a better image than this, but I have to,
Yeah,
I just emailed Craig to see if I can get the updated survey results from the last dredge, from the last survey they just did.
Mhm.
Again,
Yeah.
it's going into the abyss, but I will see,
Maybe next year.
I will see if I can get the new data and I will ask him about that specific spot going a little bit more to the east and see what he says.
Okay, good. Mother Nature,
Yeah, exactly. Gotta figure her out.
shutdown or no shutdown, that's Mother Nature. All right, I think that's all we had for old business. Any other discussion? No? All right, new business. Float replacement funding allocation. Oh, I can barely say that. So you mentioned that the float replacement thing is under control then. It's
It
happening.
is, yes.
Okay. So we don't need to do anything on that other
No,
than just note that it's happening.
The money has been allocated by council.
Yep.
And the issue now will be, we'll definitely be utilizing them at the Pine Point ramp, and then we'll make a determination, what the issue is at Clay Pits or Ferry Beach, based on what the need is. I have to talk to them, and they don't know if they have enough lumber to accomplish all the projects, so there's a whole host of issues there too.
Does the town actually make those or do we have somebody do it?
No, it's a state grant that the Bureau of Parks and Land, who basically facilitates the rules and regulations of the boat ramp. And because we get state money for all of our boat ramps, they come to us and basically say, we'll replace those floats. And I think the cost of that project is like $40,000 or $50,000, and the cost of the town's like $7,500.
It's a deal.
So,
All right, that works.
yeah.
We're paying out of a different pocket, that's all.
Yeah, it's
Right.
about somewhere for this.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's not.
It's not free.
It's
There's
not
no free money.
No, it's not free,
No.
right,
We're out, those days are gone.
right.
Well, I brought it up at the council meeting that
Yeah.
I'm right next to those. I work by them every day. And the first ones they built were out of regular lumber
Yeah,
and they rotted out.
yeah.
So I think the state's looking at the schedule of the last time they wrote it out, they have to be replaced in say 10, I don't know what it's been, but say it's been 10 years.
Yeah.
So they say, oh, you're due again. But in a way, you're not, because the next ones they didn't want to pressure treated.
Mhm.
And they're in excellent shape. I don't, so I don't know what you do with the state. Like I said, if anything, if you want to make them functional, they really should go down to the low water mark. I mean, right now at Ferry Beach, they're useless.
Yeah,
They're just at the high water mark. I mean, they're good play kids dock, and that's all they're good for. They're not good for anything else. But if the state wanted to allocate some more money for floats, if we could keep the old ones and add on, then that would be a good thing. But they were gonna check into it and see.
The issue with the state when I reached out to them is they, because of the accessibility issue and driving more piles and the limited parking and the limited access,
Right.
they won't do it.
They won't do it, okay.
But I'm looking at the grant replacement paperwork that I have right here it is all pressure treated, galvanized,
Right,
fitting. It's all stuff that will last 15 or 20 years. And I think what we'll probably end up doing is, because the floats at Ferry Beach are in a good state, other than the hole they burned in them last year with fireworks.
yeah, right, yeah.
Public Works will hopefully potentially repair that when they get those out, but we may look at putting these at clay pits too, because those are
Mhm.
really rough shape. So
Good.
it's all gonna depends on when the money comes available, when the money's there. If they have enough lumber to build, we are allocated for 15 floats,
Mhm.
9 at Pine Point and 6 to either go Ferry Beach or clay pits. But we may only get a part of those next spring and a part the following spring. So it's all lumber availability. There's a priority of all these bolt launches in the state. So I'll be following it, and we'll adapt as we need to.
Good stuff. All right. So speaking of new business, anything we need to add for next week, next month, or anything happening? Things seem pretty quiet. We're kind of moving into the off season. I swapped emails with Nick. Apparently the parking thing is percolating along behind the scenes. They talked to a couple of vendors. He said he promised he would keep us up to date as far as anything definitive happening. It's in the works. Rob, with another comment, question? I'll tell you, he's being very interactive for not being here in person. Yeah, Rob, go ahead.
Thanks, Darren. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got you now.
Okay, so before I joined this committee, I was on a different one for the town, and we had talked about, I think it was like the Futures Committee meeting or Futures of Scarborough meeting, or I can't even recall the name of it. But I didn't know if maybe Darren or perhaps Scott Doherty had heard anything through their travels regarding the two low spots that are going to need to be addressed. One is US 1 and one is Pine Point Road. That would be a DOT, I think, project. Have you guys heard any rumors or murmurs about those? You know, the spot by Ann-John's that's super low at a big tide, and then the spot by the Audubon that's can wash over.
So MDOT did a bunch of sampling over the spring and the summer this year. And they are in a discussion of raising that road, but there has really been no definitive answer given of if, when, and how. But MDOT is looking at Route 9 and the Route 1 area across the marsh. But we don't really have any guidance from them as of yet. I can follow up with the town engineer as well, Rob, to see if they have any. But I know there was a long-term plan to raise both of those, but I don't know what that looks like, and I hadn't heard anything else.
But nothing in Pine Point.
Pine Point, they're gonna put a ledge underneath it and jack it up.
I think at the town council meeting, they brought it up, and if I
Yeah.
remember correctly, it was like almost a go, and it was gonna be done. And then all of a sudden, the funding from the federal government
Yeah,
said, no, we're trying, and everything's shutting down, and I think that project got shut down. I mean, it's still obviously in the works and thinking about it, but who knows how many years it will be out, you know? It was gonna happen fairly quick, though. They were talking about right off doing it, and then,
They're using the word managed retreat.
yeah.
oh yeah, that's the term now.
It is a real term.
I believe the
So-
project was in its infancy, but they, they were starting to, how these things go. You start talking about it, and then eventually there's more and more talk, and then finally somebody puts a date on the chalkboard, and then you work towards that, and it's usually delayed another year or two. And um, one thing that I did learn from that process is we sort of need to start thinking about, any long-term projects that we do and take on. We got to factor in sea level rise of 6 feet or so. Um, Obviously, that's going to be a while before we see that kind of sea level rise, and some people don't necessarily believe it, but in the work I do for the city of Portland, we factor that in, and it's not easy and it's expensive, and there are resiliency funds in state budget. I think there's still like $17 million in resiliency funds. Now that would get scooped up in half a second on a road project, but for the projects around Pine Point and the co-op, anything that has to do with resiliency to climate change falls into that sort of barrel of money that we might be able to ascertain some grants with. I'm sure Darren, you know all about it. But yeah, I didn't know if you guys had heard any rumors about it wasn't splashing over, but it was close. I don't know which high tide it was. I don't know if it was today or not, but I noticed there was like the water stain on Route 1 northbound, which was just about encroached in to about a foot into the road.
Hmm.
And that was a pretty high tide, but it was mostly due to the storm surge, I think.
Good. Well, Darren, maybe you can see what you can find out.
Yeah,
Report
I'll-
back next meeting.
I'll check with the engineering department.
Well, there was some sustainability study that too, right? Must be a
There was
report on that.
something began that way, but I don't know where it landed.
Yeah.
I'll ask Angel Blanchett, and we'll get an answer.
Good stuff. Yeah, so maybe we can throw that on as new business for next month, so we have something. Which we should probably just talk about whether we need to have a meeting next month anyway.
The other item that is probably gonna be new businesses, we need to have a discussion about. I've talked to the town manager about we have a pretty significant issue with the downriver float. Where the dredge cutter head went underneath and the dock sits at almost like a 40-degree angle at low tide. I've already talked to DEP about permitting it to get some of that out of there. And the replacement of those floats down there, so that's gonna be, there's some money that was obtained, I obtained through a grant. Through the Working Waterfront Resiliency last year, but there's a match funding that we have to put to that. So I'm gonna try to, through the budget process, get that to match it, because that will take care of replacing some of those floats. Those floats are in pretty rough shape, some of them, and some of the hardware, so that's the floats on the pier, but that's
On
something
the
that.
pier, okay, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it's not boat ramp floats, these are different floats, so that's
Yep.
something that we should probably have a discussion about at the
Okay.
next meeting, and then that way, this committee can vote to push it forward or not push it forward, and then we can go from there.
You comfortable with what we're talking about? Downriver, what?
It would be commercial floats attached to the pier,
Okay,
not boat ramp floats. Boat ramp floats are done, that's
Yeah.
a done issue.
is that something we need to discuss in November or?
Well, budget season will be February, so it's probably something that you guys wanna have a discussion, put it in front of this committee first, and then it can go through the channel, the right channel.
If we're gonna skip a meeting between now and then, it may be better to skip December.
Yeah.
rather
Yeah,
than-
probably for
I-
the holidays,
right.
yeah, that's a good
They're
idea.
not gonna,
Okay.
they're not gonna dredge underneath there otherwise.
No, what the plan would be right now, I talked to DEP, there's, the permit is still, so we had a discussion about removing the actual downriver flow, like disconnecting it and floating it out. And then taking some of the swirls out so that dock sits down flat, not at such a drastic angle. And I looked at the hardware and it's just not, it's not really a feasible to just remove it and reconnect it. It's just not that easy. You gotta take a bunch of stuff apart. So when I talked to DEP and I talked to two different dock contractors, the best plan of attack would be if we are gonna replace those floats and get the fund to do it. When we remove them, we'll take and scoop out that area of where the cutter head went in and it didn't reach all the way in there where the dock sits. I've already had the public works director down there. We've looked at it. We would move some of that so the dock would sit flat and then put the new dock in. Just do it all in one motion versus removing and digging out, put it back, and a year later, it's just. Because the bigger issue of that is when that occurs, no matter what, that gangway has to be held up somehow,
Oh, I hung
Which
it
is-
yeah.
which is a bit of that's a bit of a project.
Yeah.
You gotta put a boom truck out there, you gotta lift the gangway, you gotta hold it, so there's a lot. There's the whole project itself, what it really would look like is we would take the floats completely out. We would dredge that out, have both gangways up, dredge that out to make sure that we've met the depth requirement under the federal navigation project. Put the new docks back in, lower the gangways back down. It will be all one project, there's no point in piecemealing it, it's gonna just not be feasible.
You couldn't hook them to the cranes that are there?
No,
It wouldn't work.
no, they're not, their weight limit is enough, it's just not enough reach, there's just, when you turn that crane around, it literally comes right over the end of the gangway, and there's just no way to.
Yeah, because I mean, if it's a real angle, even if you get it up and you got it at an angle, it will hold it.
Yeah, I don't know, that crane's only a 2,000-2-ton crane. I know they don't weigh that much, but it just the angle that it has to come up with,
I ain't saying it would lift it, but what you could do is get in there with a town excavator or whatever, and you could lift it up, but then hook the crane to it to hold it in
You're saying
place.
tie it off.
Huh?
Yeah,
Tie it
Right,
off.
tie it off.
Hold it off,
crane.
yeah, and
Yeah.
hold it, but I think the crane may hold it. It's something to try, I don't know. you
yeah,
know.
I don't think the weight would be an issue, I'm worried about the angle.
Right, and at the angle, trying to lift it, it wouldn't lift it, but if you've got it lifted up and then had the crane over here, down hooked to it, it may hold it up out of your way.
Yeah.
Instead of having to have a piece of equipment on the end of the dock through the
Well,
whole project, you know what I mean?
The only reason we would do that is because they would bring that boom truck in to to float the docks in.
Yeah.
So it would already be there, it would be a double boom truck.
Well, the other thing to do too is take the gangplank right off,
Right.
just unpin it.
Right, we don't
set
have to slide
Set
out.
it aside, because you don't wanna have a piece of equipment sitting on the end of the dock holding that up through the whole project, and.
Yeah, I agree. I think taking the thing right down at high tide and so yeah, take it down at high tide, set it on the dock itself, and then at low tide can pick it up and move it out of your way. Because I don't think it's a safety issue holding it up while you do the work. I know it's not going to be, well, it's going to be longer than we think, right? I would
Yeah, it's
suggest
always,
just-
if it's gonna be a day, it's gonna be 3 days, that's what
There
I'm
you go.
looking at,
I know the yacht club, when they pull their gangplank, they pull it right up onto the pier, so you
Well-
could do that, but doing that, you're gonna block the pier off from being
Yeah.
overused.
Right,
That's a
and then when you
problem.
unpin that at a high tide, you slide it up on the pier is completely, we
That
render it
works.
unusable.
Right, right, so that probably isn't a good way either.
all right. So we'll go with the November meeting. Yeah, good idea. We'll skip December. We're gonna skip one. That makes sense. I want to interrupt your Christmas shopping and
Yeah,
Back on-
holiday parties.
I just thought of something. If
Yeah.
you had an excavator there and lift that gangplank up and swung around with the excavator to the road going down the pier, it's wide. And if you put that on edge, against the edge, could you still back a truck down with it stored on one side of
No.
that pier?
you mean
Don't
the
think-
gangway on there?
Huh?
You're talking about putting the gangway on the runway where they
On the
drive
runway,
down?
not out flat, on edge, against the side.
It's probably,
Oh, only that much when you're backing the truck down either side? Oh, that ain't enough, yeah.
when I put my truck down there, I bet
Right,
you I
right,
have
right.
14
Yeah,
inches on either
yeah,
side.
there you
And when
go.
they back a fuel truck down there, there's like
Right,
that much, there's not enough to
Right,
do that.
right.
I guess if we did it in the off season, what my recommendation would be is if we did do it in the off season, and we were able to remove them and crane them onto the pedestrian pier, there's enough room to set them there.
Right,
Where we can
right.
pick them back up and move them, so
Right,
we'll have to. look
Yeah,
at it.
yeah, that's true. The pedestrian pier is still there, so yeah, put it right onto that.
Yeah, especially if it's in the off season, we'll set it under the
Right.
pedestrian pier, and we'll just say no pedestrians, that's all. It's just
Well, if you put it down flat, they can just walk
walk
on
over
that.
top of it. And I think that's probably wide enough to put the gangway right down on their
Right,
flat.
right,
And they can walk right.
right. There's your solution, yeah.
Good stuff.
Right.
I know what I don't know when it comes to that stuff. So leave it to the professionals. You guys know what you're talking about. All right, anything else we want to maybe put on the next agenda? If you think of something between now and then, just send me an email. We can get it updated. But yeah, let's plan on meeting in November. Anything else? Anything else anybody wants to bring up? Rob, anything else?
Just the date on that meeting.
It'll be the second Tuesday.
You know, the date of the next meeting, Rod?
Yes.
Yeah, the date of the next meeting.
It will be Tuesday, Tuesday, November 11th at 5:30.
11/11, 5:30.
Oh,
Hopefully I
Veterans
can
Day.
be there in person. Thank you.
We meeting on Veterans Day?
What's that?
It's just, it's the Veterans.
It is
Day.
Veterans Day. I
Meeting.
don't think-
Town hall will be closed.
Will it? Like close.
I was gonna say,
Lock.
it tells me when I'm around.
Yeah, that's a holiday.
That's not a Monday holiday? But
It's
everything
a
was a Monday.
Tuesday holiday.
So if that's the case, does the meeting get changed then? Or we
Yeah.
still have it here?
So what'll happen?
The building be shut down.
What do we do?
Go to the 18th.
I'll verify that
Okay,
and then I'll
If not-
email out.
yeah, if not, maybe we can do the third Tuesday, the
Would
18th.
be the 25th, the 18th, excuse me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's normally what we do, right? Right.
That's what I would think.
I think that's what we did last year. We moved it.
You get that, Rob?
Rob,
He asked a simple question.
Maybe he
I got
knows
it.
that.
I heard. Yep.
we'll
Thank you very much.
verify and let you know.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll give everyone plenty of notice.
Very good.
Good stuff. All right. Anything else? If not,
Motion to
motion to adjourn?
Motion?
Motion, second? Second, we're adjourned, okay.